go in 3, 2, 1, and hello, welcome to G3. Today is October 30th. It's the day before Halloween. It's the eve of All Hallows Eve. That's
Halloween.
what I think it is. So, yeah, hello, welcome to G3. Hope you've been here before. If not, we're the show featuring the ladies who love to talk tech, and today we're going to be talking about tech and fashion.
Oh, that's why you have your
This is why I have my very fashionable hat on today. This is episode number 59, if you're counting. We are. And my name is Tina Chase Gilmore, if I haven't said that already. Okay. Done with that one. All right. So, today I'd like to introduce you to my co-hosts and our special guest. Up in my upper left-hand corner is the lovely Mary Hodder from Mountain View, California. Hi, Mary. Mary, can I suddenly not hear you? Have you muted yourself?
Hello.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
After the sound check, Mary decides she's going to mute herself. In my lower left here is Francine Hardaway, coming to us, I think, from kind of locally this time, huh?
Half Moon Bay, yay!
Yay, Francine. How are you? And Hallie Sue Tucker back in Boston, back in almost Coldville.
It's cool. It's cool. I got wool. I'm kind of cold, so.
Okay. Hallie was just out visiting us here in Silicon Valley. Got to actually spend a lunch with you, my dear, instead of seeing you in just this virtual space.
It's
And
true.
I miss Hallie by a day.
You missed her by a day.
I
And our
know.
lovely guest today coming to us, you're actually in San Francisco right now. You
Put up
reside
those fingers again.
what?
Put up those fingers again. Okay.
Oh.
Very nice.
Lisa Lang, she is the co-founder and CEO of Electro Couture. Have I said that correctly?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Electro Couture with a K, because with my accent, the C or the K doesn't make any difference anyway. And we're from Berlin. So.
And speaking of accents, a little bit of a German accent, a little bit of a something else. We'll hear it in a while, won't we?
Yeah.
It's going to come out.
You've got me.
Okay. Okay, well, hello to all of you. We're just days away from a kind of exciting event that I hope that one of us can. How about Mary? Mary, could you introduce the event that's happening on
Sure.
Tuesday, November 3rd, that we're all excited about?
Yes, I just was opening on my other screen the invitation so I can read it to you exactly.
Lovely.
It's the IBM Presents 360 Fashion and Tech Innovation Awards. It's November 3rd. It's at the Metreon in San Francisco. And basically what's going to happen is at 6 to 10 p.m. If you want to be invited, you can send me a quick note at hodder@gmail. We do have a few spots left, although it's getting very tight. And basically, there is a fashion runway show where each runway show of a few models comes down the runway exhibiting a particular type of technology. And so it's in the clothing, it's in the accessories, it's in other kinds of wearable sensors and whatnot. And then the speaker will talk in between, and then the next runway show will speak about that technology and trends, the future of that particular technology or wearables generally. So it'll be kind of a mixed topic, but focusing on what has just come down the runway, so that
Do
you're
you
seeing
have a
the
live
example.
tweeter for that, Mary? Because I'll be back
Twitter
in
account?
Arizona, and I would love to see the live tweets with video or photos.
So I don't know if there will be live video. I can check on that and ask. But I do think that, there is a Twitter hashtag, and it's, I believe, IBM360F is the hashtag.
That's correct.
And
Okay,
yeah,
that's good to
and
know.
so So you can follow those tweets. But anyway, so the format is that there's a show and then there's a speaker talking about what was in the show. There's 11 of these. And there will be food and drink and all of that. I think it'll be a very, very nice event. There's also an exhibition hall with 20, I believe that, or no, excuse me, 30 plus mannequins. And each mannequin will be in its own kind of display area. And it will showcase some kind of technology, maybe with a piece of clothing and some accessories that will demonstrate or exhibit that technology. And then there will be some digital art. There will be lighting, and we have a DJ coming from London. We have a Vogue stylist from Vogue magazine coming out from New York. I'm picking her up from the airport today.
Wow.
I mean, this thing is big. We have 50 volunteers that will be there all day Monday and Tuesday just to get ready for this show.
I am so jealous. I have subscribed to Vogue since I was 16. And I mean, you can't tell it now, but inside, I'm a fashionista.
Inside.
Before we continue on, if we've got some live viewers today, I want to remind you that we have a chat at chat.center/G3. You can join us there and ask questions or just sit in. So I'm really excited about this. As a matter of fact, today I put on a little bit of a I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit of a sparkly sort of thing, sort of in honor of this, because that's about as fashionable. Oh, and I brought our dress form out. You see our dress form in the back? Okay.
I did.
So,
I wondered why it
very
was
nice.
there.
Well,
and then
it's
I put
a
two
little
and two
nod,
together.
a little nod to the fashion designers. So so excited. Now, my opening question to you is, why haven't we seen much attention paid to fashion in this town? And we've got brilliant people here. We've got oodles of money, and it seems like we see hoodies and expensive eyewear.
Yeah, that's true. Or expensive digital watches.
And you
like an
know
Apple
why.
Watch.
I mean, but I don't want to get us back on the old topic. It's because every single piece of technology and every single thing in this town is geared toward men. And that creates a huge problem for us women who want to carry all our devices or use all this tech. And in order to do that, we have to totally give up our, as I said, inner fashionistas.
Mm-hmm. Is this, Lisa, you're nodding your head. Yes, this is true. Tell us more.
Well, this is actually one of the reasons why I started this company. It's based on frustration, right? I've worked in software development for 10 years. And, I'm a nerd, I'm a geek, but I'm not going to let go of my fingernails, my lipstick, and my high heels.
Right.
And that would mean that, I was completely excluded of, expressing my love for technology because I never wear T-shirts. Or I never wear wristwatches, because, of course I've watched Star Wars and, I loved it and stuff like that. But, but I don't have to rebuild it. So there was nothing there. And based on that frustration, I started. I think the reason why there is not that much out there yet is just because you really have to infuse fashion with technology, right? So like fashion designers usually don't know how to solder or how to program. And quite frankly, if you look around in the tech scene, they're not very fashion forward either. So you have to start with the mindset and with understanding each other ecosystems. But, that's really difficult. It's kind of like getting somebody who works in the day shift together with somebody who works in a night shift together for a coffee, right? So like that on its own is a logistical problem.
I had a question quick. Can I ask? I was on this Caltrain yesterday looking at all these guys going to work and thinking, first they look all exactly the same. They dress they dress down so much and they look the same. And I was thinking, over history, to show you were wealthy, you often wore expensive clothing. I see in this cohort of people that they're very busy not trying to look wealthy. And I wonder if it's a strategy with their fashion to look so dressed down.
No,
No?
they just don't know shit about dressing.
Yes. Yes, because I mean, the thing is, they look like that, like their mom dressed in the last time, right? It's like hoodies and t-shirts and jeans, and that's the last thing somebody gave them, as a framework, and everything else is
Framework,
just like much more important,
Everything
right?
is a framework.
That's
It is.
wonderful. I love it. I love the framework. One time when I was in Europe, I was staying with some friends in Italy, and Americans, particularly American men, I don't think the American women do this so much, but American guys walk around in Bermuda shorts, right, with a camera hanging around their neck. And my friend said, American men dress like little boys. And these guys were like 40, they had little kids with them. Their kids were also in Bermuda shorts, but it was such a telling remark. And they said, look around, if men here from Europe wear some kind of summer clothing, they might wear crop pants, right? They're a little bit shorter,
right,
and they wear some kind of sandal or something, but it's
really
more stylish. It's linen. They're styled. And I think what Lisa's getting at here with this is how their mother dressed them. It's carried over so far. I mean, before, if you worked in a business, you still had to wear a suit. So men would have to learn how to dress. They'd go to Brooks Brothers or somewhere and figure it out. Now they just wear what their mother showed them to wear for high school, and they're still doing it. I think that's such a good observation. But it's like they're dressing like boys. They're still being little boys.
I don't know. My opinion is sort of in the middle here. I think, Hallie, I might agree with your line of questioning a little bit in that, the kind of the uniform of the hoodie or the t-shirt and the jeans is something that, what do uniforms do in schools? They just sort of make that a non-issue.
They try to make people look equal, and
you focus on other things,
right?
And so I would posit that maybe that's going on as well.
And but let's talk about women with regard to this, because for 10 years, I was a person who wore Armani suits, and then for 10 years, because I wasn't kidding about being a fashionista, then I got into tech and I started coming up to the Bay Area, and I moved up here, and for 10 years I wore jeans and a swag t-shirt, and then I realized that is so frigging unbecoming on a woman, especially a woman my age. What the fuck am I doing? And I started wearing nice clothes again.
But maybe this is the ultimate in, like, you're not welcome in this industry, because I always feel like that. You go to CES and you're on a team and they ask you to wear some piece of shit white, polo shirt and the khaki pants, it looks great on men, but women, you look ridiculous. So, but let's go back to the idea that how you show your wealth was what I was bringing up. Only quickly, I was talking about, like, I saw this when I lived in LA. Like, David Geffen was one of the first people to be incredibly wealthy, and his outfit was like a very simple, super expensive t-shirt and plain pants. And there's this kind of, we're really not that wealthy game going on. So what are your clothes telling people? Are your clothes to communicate something?
I think it's from the history of, like, all of the tech unicorns and the startups, right? They started in, like, mom's garage, and they were wearing t-shirts. So the thing is, like, you kind of like wear this uniform because this is like the kind of steps you have to go through in order to become another Silicon Valley unicorn, right? Billion company. It's because we are like, it's anti-suits. It's like, anti-cubicles. It's, so this is like a part of this whole uniform kind of stuff.
I think you're right. And I wonder some days, is it unicorn or a eunuch? Because it's really so unsexy. It's a very asexual way to dress.
Well, and that's why I want to know from Lisa, what does Fashion Tech 360 hope to do? Because what I want is something for women that's not androgynous, but includes technology.
I think 360 is going to show us a whole array of products which are actually already out there and we have to start talking about this, right? So as you said, like, for a long time, we were forced to wear jeans and t-shirts. I did it for a while. I don't fit in these things, right?
No.
So I like, and then I just refused to do that. I remember when I had like my first executive job and I was like the first woman on there, all of the women on that level were wearing jeans and t-shirts, and I refused to do that. And then after a while, after like a year, I just like came in with lipstick and high heels. They like slowly picked up, and like were wearing a blouse or like a dress or something like that. I think it's like now it's a time where we can talk about it, because until the point now when we as women were saying, okay, let's wear technology, it were either like a circus pony or like the sexy manga, right?
Yep.
And that was like the only thing, because like again, this wearable technology has been built for men, and it's like, and with that they're channelizing their fantasies, right? So like my conspiracy with all of those smartwatches and stuff like that is like the boys who grew up watching Enterprise and Star Wars, they now have the money to be, to make their gadgets, right? Or like this is the only way how they can actually show their wealth, right? That they do have the Apple Watch with like the Hermes leather, wristwatch stuff, like whatsoever. But I think now it's the point is because if you look at like in consumer electronics, the buyer's power is actually women. And we are forced to buy all of those gadgets for our men, husband, brothers, and something like that. I remember last year there was like this Valentine's ad on Hulu, and I got really, really upset because it was like, oh, women, here are the gadgets you can buy for your husband, right? And I was tweeting about it. I said like, but what about us, right? We are the one who are buying. We are the one who like, over 50% of the users of Facebook are female. So like, why? Like, what the fuck? Sorry.
Right.
It's happening.
You need to meet this woman that I met with this week. Her name is Theodora Kalinas, and she's doing market research for a smart handbag for women that can charge all your devices and tell you if you left something home. I mean, she is doing what I think is the next generation of fashion tech for women. And why I really liked her is because she is doing the market research. She is interviewing women who might want to wear this thing before she even manufactures it, And I think she is going to come to 360. So I hope you get to meet her then. I was really impressed.
I have another theory I want to ask you if you have a second, which is maybe this costume is to say, I'm so cerebral. Everything important happens in my brain. Mm-hmm. So my body, which I do think some programmers act like this, is of no use. I would like to retain my brain when I die because my brain is so special. So what I wear should be of no concern because I'm proving how brilliant I am. I don't care what I wear. And that's male, and that's engineer, and that's not women. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think it's based on a lot of insecurity, right? It's just like, okay, I know that, I'm not like a handsome guy, so like, you compensate with your brain, right? So, and all of everything else just becomes secondary. But I think in the end of the day, like, dressing well is actually not a bad thing. Fashion is there to protect you, to make you feel comfortable, right? And if you do want to wear Bermudas and a shirt, like, have you tried to actually wear it in like really good quality? Because only that just makes a huge difference, right? You smell better, and that might be a positive effect on your environment. I work with developers. I'm a developer myself. So like I work with these guys for 10 years. I always pity them sometimes because they have such a framework. Again, they are only allowed to play within that. And it's really difficult to break them out. And I think this is why with all of those gadgets and the wearable tech around it, like all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I can finally do something. And again, they're turning into kids, right? But I think also in terms of product development, women are actually really good and very empathetic in terms of like designing really good products. And this is the thing with fashion technology. Fashion is very emotional. Going into mainstream and introducing that for normal people, because let's just remember, we are not normal people, we are techies, right? So for us being online and surrounded by technology is totally normal. For the most of the people, it's not. For them, it's mainly Facebook is the internet, right? Or you don't even have an email account or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think to be really able to make wearing technology normal, it has to appeal to a mainstream, right? And the complete failure of Google classes showed us that it doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you do look like a robot and you creep out people, you only can reach the tip of the iceberg, and you don't go to mainstream. Right.
Well, that's why I kickstarted a project last year that was done by a woman named Jing Zhu, a Chinese woman who did a bracelet called the Ella Moon. And it was
I know her. She's awesome.
She is awesome, isn't she? I wish I were at home now, because then I'd get my Ella Moon and wear it, because it's a programmable bracelet and you can program any message on it, and mine at home currently has Namaste, but it's, it's like gold on the inside and white lacquer on the outside. It's a really nice bracelet, but it's smart and it's fashion.
Sounds good. I have a question about smart things, because these wearables, the point, if the boys get at least their part right, my sweater's going to tell you my heartbeat, and my wristwatch is going to tell you maybe my blood pressure, and all these things about your health will be embedded in this, right? And so, needless to say, they're not going to have anything to say about our periods or anything female. Are we looking at sort of, if they design everything, is it going to be, really we're left out in the cold?
No, they'll design the app for our periods. That's how that'll happen.
Hallie, you want the technology in your pants. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe, but not in their pants. I want ones that are for me, not for them.
Wait, I have the name, Smarty Pants.
There you go.
So it sounds like we have
there's a really good app for tracking your period. It's called Clue. It's founded by a lovely woman from Berlin. They just raised another round. Dropping that in.
Did Steve leave the room because this is TMI?
No, he has a meeting.
I have to get something. I'm going to leave the room too. I'll be right back. I want to get something.
Okay, all right.
So funny.
So it sounds like we have the psychology of fashion down, or at least what we think it is. What's actually going on right now in this world where fashion and technology are converging? Where are we at the moment, and what are the bottlenecks? Why aren't we seeing yet, I might see it in a fashion show. I might see something that glows like this. One of the reasons I put this on today, it's a little sparkly. This could be something that glows, right? Or maybe I would have my neckline or something being distinguished because it's, lighting up, or it's giving me some information. But I'm not seeing this when I'm walking down the street. I'm not seeing this in the workplace. I'm not seeing this when I go out to dinner. I'm only seeing this if I happen to be lucky enough to land myself in a fashion show like we're going to see on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So what's going on? Where's the bottleneck? Where's the technology right now?
So I have a couple thoughts, and then I would love to hear what Lisa has to say about this too, because you're everything you're saying is so interesting. So one thing is that I think we are very much at the beginning, and what Anina's trying to do with the 360 Fashion Tech Award show is to actually bring a lot of this to the Bay Area, because I can't tell you what trouble she's had finding models, because there's not this industry here, right? There's not a fashion industry here. It's very nascent. There are some companies that are building up and they are doing very cool things, but it's new, right?
I would have
to combine these things. But, she needs 6 feet tall.
Oh, well then.
Yes, so because the clothes
Ouch.
are very long, Many
Yeah.
of them are couture clothes coming from Europe and New York. And actually, I mean, it's amazing. The people we've been doing model casting here outside on the sidewalk, and
It's
it's
been
incredible. The people
Bear,
Yes,
coming
guys.
over.
she needs
They're
bear
just
stockings 6 feet tall.
Get guys.
6 feet tall, bare stockings. And so there are these gazelle women who
Oh,
show
your
up, and they're
audio
just
is
incredible. Anyway,
your
so
audio's crappy
just
today,
as an
Mary.
example, it's
FYI.
tough to find a good model in the Bay Area for that height that the designers are
Yeah.
designing for. But that said, I do think that there's three areas that things seem to be pointing in. One is the personal adornment, like the sweater that you're wearing, Tina. It's what we've always done. We want to wear something cool. Here I have my little Vince sweater on. Whatever. We like to personally adorn. It's fun. It makes us feel good. So there's that element, and then taking it to the next level with wearables and.
That is why I've stuck to the Misfit Shine. This is the Misfit Shine in a necklace, and it's beautiful. It's a wearable, and it's a fitness tracker. And it's the only fitness tracker that I've really stuck with because it's
But that's
pretty.
category two. So category two, I would say, is about some kind of functional piece. So it could be sensing, like the Misfit Shine, and still very beautiful. But there's the pure self adornment, right? Like wearing a fiber optic jacket. If it doesn't have any sensors, there's not a practical thing. It's just an adornment. It's just a different sort.
Yeah.
The Misfit Shine is beautiful, and it has a practical function. So there's the practical category of there's a sensor. My shirt might have a thing that can open when it senses that my body's hot, right, and allow air to come in, whatever that looks like, or a robotic dress,
Sounds
or
nice.
something like that, right? So that's the practical category. And then the third category is communication that I've seen. This is just what I've observed watching this. And as Anina puts together, all these different kinds of technologies and, fashions and accessories. So the communication version is like there's a shirt that if you hook it up to an Instagram account and you can, have anybody who posts to the account, you can have the photo show up on the front or the back of the shirt. So it's communications, right? You're basically involving other people, and they're communicating in or out of the piece of the wearable to generate some, there could be a hashtag in Twitter. And, Josh Kinberg did this years ago, where this wasn't a wearable per se, but he put on the back of his bike at the Republican convention in New York City in 2004, he had a Mac laptop, and then he had a sprayer that would spray chalk onto the sidewalk. And anybody who put onto, maybe it was 2006 or 8, but anybody who would put a tweet into with a particular hashtag would have the tweet sprayed out on the sidewalk, and it wasn't graffiti because it was chalk, right? Because it could wash away. So there's the wearable equivalent of that. How do other people interact with you in your wearables? And so anyway, my final point is simply that these are the three obvious categories, right? We're taking what we already have and we're trying to mess with them to create some kind of wearable experience. Howard Rheingold is going to speak at this event, and he wants to talk about the way that artists and art fold back in, so the amateur, the person doing it for the love of, versus the professional doing it because they're creating a product, but they may not know everything, right? And then their users take it, they change it around, the artist will push the boundaries even further, and then the professional pulls that information back in, and that cycle goes around and around. We've been doing that with internet stuff for 20 years, we've been doing it with computers for 50 years, and now it's wearables. And so
at Yes By, there's Yes By Yes Yes, this conference that I go to every year. There are always people who have wearable tech on their bodies that is not functional. It's simply beautiful, and those are the fiber optic jackets and, dresses that just skirts that light up, things
Isn't
like that.
I think at Burning Man is the only other place you see that kind of creativity of people that are geeks that are dressed in an incredible way. And by the way, you have to call that shareable wearables. If you've got clothes that you can share things.
And that is why I want to go to Burning Man. I want to go to Burning Man to see that convergence of art and tech. And,
So anyway,
I assume
so
it's there. So,
I think that Anina, her vision of this is to take it to the next level. So Burning Man, I've been 9 times, is very sparkly. It's very loud in terms
Right.
of its presentation, and she's looking for a thing you could wear every day that isn't so loud, that's more subtle, that's
Yeah.
interesting, that has an interesting sensor, whatever. Anyway, so
so
we've been
am
talking
I.
a ton. I'd love
That's
to
exactly
hear.
what I'm looking for. I'm dying to be like a test market for one. You know I am.
We
Come on.
all are.
So,
Lisa,
know.
so I
what?
see Lisa nodding. I'm
Yes,
dying to
I
know.
know.
What
She's
do you
Lisa,
think?
Lisa.
because we're talking too much and not giving Lisa enough time to tell us what should we be seeing? What are we going to be seeing? Next year, in the next couple years. How are our fashion senses and how is technology and fashion combining to really change our environment that we work and live in?
I think the biggest hurdle is battery systems and manufacturing. Like, the unsexy, invisible stuff in the background, nobody ever thought about it. The good news is technology is already there, right? We have, having sensors, using sensors is so cheap. Cables, stuff like that. You can get it at every shop. Unfortunately, nobody actually have thought about it to actually build it in a way so you can wash it and bend it and
Right.
recharge it. So the great thing with like Burning Man is like, yeah, it's fantastic, but it's dark, and like, so you don't see like the huge backpack they have to carry around for the batteries, right? So it's not that practical, and those things you can, by the way, you can't wash them.
Or
You can't wash them.
I was going to say you maybe don't
right,
care about the
so
fact
you
that
got-
it's getting filthy dirty, and you're going to invest in it for the
4
week,
days,
and then we've got to lock up on Lisa. Hopefully she'll reach. Lisa, you still hearing us on
Yes.
audio? Okay.
Yeah.
So, when I first met Anina, she was wearing a very glowy sort of dress. It wasn't apparent until the sun started to go down, and then all of a sudden, a panel in the front of her dress started to just ever so delicately glisten, almost
Yeah.
imperceptibly, right?
Yeah.
But she said to me, it's these damn batteries, though. You have to. They are a bottleneck, and it's not quite there yet with how we fuel these outfits and these wearables. I had wondered, what about solar panels? I mean, is solar at all, and we can see them on, backpacks and things like that. Can solar be used to power our clothing?
Yeah, it is, but like solar on its own is just one bit of the whole charging thing, because for solar panels you need a battery. You need to save the energy you have. Oh, sorry, it's getting really loud in here.
Okay, it's you,
Can
huh?
you-
I
yeah.
was wondering, where's
Can you
that
mute
coming
me
from?
For a second, I will take care of this.
Okay. We're gonna. She's gonna. I think Lisa's gonna relocate and.
Excuse me, could you turn down the music? I'm like on a phone call at the moment.
I don't control the music.
Oh, it's like it comes from. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Uh-huh. Well, we'll let Lisa sort of relocate, but
I'm really fascinated with what Anina is doing. I always have been, and I wanted to order something and support her by buying something, but the only thing that she had that was being mass produced was the handbag and evening bag. And of all things that I have no use for, that would be probably a number one.
Excuse
on
me.
the-
Is it possible to go outside there? Is the door open? Excellent, thank you.
Poor Lisa.
Hey, it's
sometimes we
I'm back.
okay.
Oh, much better. Now you remind me of Kevin Marks.
That's
Sorry
right.
about that. I'm like at the computer museum, and there's 500 startups is running a demo day there.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I know
And I'm
exactly
invited, and I'm
500.
invited. I actually have a really good friend of mine, Jess Erickson, who co-founded Berlin Gets Women in Technology in Berlin. And she now relocated back to San Francisco and works for 500 startups. So, the girls are catching up tonight.
Dave is a dear friend, and I love what he does for women with 500 startups. Love it. He has been devoted to women the whole time he has been running that.
But also at the same time, what Dave said, it's just complete, it's statistics. The statistics just show that, teams which led up by women or companies who are co-founded by women just have higher potential of success, right? So, if you invest in companies and you want to get as much money out of it as possible, then, you would be stupid not to look at the data.
Right, exactly.
So, that works. So,
wait, he's not
you are
stupid.
talking about fashion technology, right? So, let me tell you a quick story. The first thing I built was a jacket. I've joined Fab Lab, which is like an open maker space, and they were building LED jackets, right? Like it's very makey. They usually used big denim jackets, and I was like, yeah, okay, I totally dig the LEDs, right? But I would like to actually have a really nice fashion jacket. And I said like, okay, fine. And then I extended it and made it interactive, right? So my jacket has its own telephone number. You can send it a text message, and then the LEDs react. So you send like #pink, and the LEDs go up in pink, right? So that was like the first project what I did. And as we also heard before, it's like the communication is really important. The storytelling, fashion is so much for story. Tell me, the feeling, the smell you had when you went to Ibiza or something like that. What was the colors, what was the mood, the shapes you saw. So that was really important. The interactivity with that jacket was absolutely unbelievable. It was great. However, at that point where I put cables in, I couldn't wash that damn thing. And I had like this battery pack with me, so it was so that was the point where I said, it can't be it that we're so advanced in technology, and how could we have forgotten something so obvious like bloody batteries, right?
Wow.
So the technology a lot of people in Burning Man use are so-called EL wires. I use them too. The problem is they were before LEDs. They stopped developing the battery technology, I don't know, like in the 70s, right? There are boxes like this. You can't wear it. But if you actually open it up and learn the technology, you can actually make it really, really small, because all of the little bits and pieces over the time, they developed and became smaller and more powerful. So this is the thing, is like you actually have to open things and learn them and take them apart, right? One of my favorite stories is like Kraftwerk, the music band. They made like this amazing music, which is like still, very, very modern. I've heard a story that they actually, in order for them to generate that music, they actually had an electrician who just opened all of the music instruments and just rewired it, right? So, stuff like that. So that was the thing where I started to like open batteries and like went to electricians and said like, what can I get out of it? Like, I need it smaller. I need it like that. My advantage also being in Berlin, we have a huge Fab Lab, we have a huge maker community there. By the way, it's a lot of men, but in that Fab Lab in particular, it was great because nobody just kind of was like, oh, you're a girl, you can't do that. They actually were very, very welcoming. So, and there was always somebody there who answered questions. So like ecosystem, so that's the important thing. So this is also why we actually started to become a smart energy development company, because we are producing batteries, new battery systems, right?
Can I throw in? Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I've warned you. Once I get started, it's really difficult.
No, it's great. All I was going to say real quick was I've written a novel about women founders, and this was 2 years ago. And my lead character is a woman who says, the weight of all these devices, which men seem to find it is fine to have these be heavy and weighty, is unacceptable. And the one real breaking area that we have to research is battery and lightweight devices. And of course, as a woman, it's obvious to her. But the other people in the accelerator, in this fictional accelerator, are like, what's the big deal? And we've actually seen just that with people who used to carry heavy computers around, and it's getting better and better and better. But really, the idea that we're mobile is bullshit. If you spend half your day plugged in and the other half replacing batteries, we're not mobile. And women understand that because we don't want to carry heavy stuff. And as we put that stuff into our clothing, it's going to be even more, it will be so beyond fashion. It will benefit fashion, but it'll benefit all devices because no one solved that.
Exactly, but the thing is also that would mean the technology has to disappear, right? Because, and it is an ego thing for our boys out there, because they want to show off. Let's build it as big and as fast, and as high performance as possible. This is why they love, the whole thing with cars and something like that.
Well, who's going to say that these are guys that have their equipment that it's external, and we have our equipment, so to speak, that's internal? So
exactly. Yes.
It's like, I want to show you my thing. Well, stop showing me your thing. Just make it compact. Be reasonable. I thought you would say that, Francine.
Absolutely.
You know what? I almost did. I'm trying not to talk as much because we have a guest.
Francine's trying to
my
be
usual
polite.
rude self.
But it's obvious. It's like
when Francine gets on our show, her New Yorker comes out.
Exactly. And that's where my fashionista comes from too. Yeah. I grew up in New York. And actually there's quite a bit of fashion tech in New York.
Let me ask, I was thinking about this. Where does San Francisco fall in the fashion world?
Nowhere. That's the
point. Lisa, I want Lisa to answer this question.
Okay.
Well, see, this is the same thing with Berlin, for instance, right? So Berlin is not necessarily, known for its fashion. We are becoming like a little bit of a crazy hub for tech because living expenses is really low, and you're international, and Berlin is not Germany, thank God. And so, so it doesn't matter if your city, from where you come from, has an identity in tech or in fashion, because we're creating something completely new here. Interdisciplinary, is most important thing. Uncomplicated access to technology and designers. So being in this whole pond with crazy international people, and San Francisco, for instance, is one of that. Is good. New York, of course, is very strong with fashion, but I think from I don't know how open they are to technology. So you have these two kind of industries sitting next to each other. They both have ivory towers kind of infrastructure, right? And now you have to get those people to climb from on which kind of tower they built, get out there and talk together, right? So it's actually more an advantage to do that in an ecosystem where it's not only tech or it's only fashion. So in Berlin, for instance, it's absolutely fantastic. Plus, we do have the advantage that we do have space, right? Yep. The Fab Lab in Berlin, we have over 500 square meters full of machines. I think the space our biggest 3D printer needs is probably an apartment in New York, right? And so, in experimenting, especially hardware is expensive, and fashion is expensive. Now imagine throw that all together, right? It's double expensive. So I think for us, Berlin is really, really important because we have all kind of crazy people coming in. But we do have the traditional German engineers companies. It's so awesome. There are so many nerds there, right? They're coming over and they're like, oh yeah, and they're using, this is the thing, is what just gets me crazy, right? We do have everything. We do have the battery systems. We have solar. We have kinetic. We have Peltier. Peltier is amazing, right? But, it's just, built somewhere else in a complete different industry. So you just have to go there and say okay, I don't need 10 tons. I need 10 centimeters or so, right? And in the beginning, they just kind of look at you a little bit, and it's like, yeah, but this is the advantage of like being a woman, right? So you just like, yeah, I don't harm you. Just give me 10 centimeters. It's not gonna kill you.
So back to the question though of where is San Francisco, in this fashion tech thing. And my comment to you is nowhere. When I first started coming to San Francisco, which was in the summer of love, it was a combination of hippies.
Were you a hippie?
Yes, I was.
Oh, Francine.
And I still am. Okay, so yeah, for another time and another show, I will tell you how I built geodesic domes and lived in them and cooked on with solar ovens. I'll just do that on another show when we have nothing to say. But when I first started coming to San Francisco, it was part hippie and part extremely fashionable people. It was, if you went to Union Square, everybody was dressed to the nines. And to the point where it made you feel, if you were a hippie from New York like I was, it threw me into conflict. Like, my inner fashionista was like, oh my God, there are these people. Well, now I don't think these people exist in San Francisco anymore. And it's all T-shirts and jeans. And I was walking around Founder World, and I was walking around the Embarcadero, and I realized that it's like, it's all, sort of biracial, young, Asian, mostly men.
I think
So I want to add.
I
Just
think
to
everybody has
comment.
an inner fashionista.
Oh, who was talking?
I was gonna
Sorry.
add real quick to Francine's comment. When I was growing up as a kid, I think she's totally right. Union Square was fashionista central. So think I Magnin, where now there's the Neiman Marcus with that, 4-story big kind of round structure that points into, and it was a very elegant store. And my mom shopped there. She actually worked there out of college. And then later when she was a lawyer, she looked like, she would shop at I Magnin when I was in high school, but she looked very Chanel, right, for her lawyerly stuff. But now my mom dresses like Mark Zuckerberg. She wears hoodies and jeans. And no joke.
I know. I wore Armani. 30 years ago, I wore Armani. Now I dress like Mark Zuckerberg.
So
listen,
I think this is what we're dealing with. So Lisa has, I just wanted to share that there's what I've seen. But anyway, go ahead.
This is actually really great to hear, because you're all going to be my customers. Very happy customers. Because, see, like, I think this is exactly it. It's just like, this is the time to say, like, we're not going to put up with this anymore. This is ridiculous, right? And we can see something which, there's a problem and nobody seems to care about it. But at the moment where we like establish this ecosystem and, to say it in German speech, at the moment where we build the Autobahn for this, innovation in that field is going to be crazy. Remember what happened when you had like all of a sudden iOS and Android frameworks for app development, and you didn't have to start from scratch anymore to build an app. All of a sudden there were like millions of apps popping up everywhere in the world. And I think this is coming back to your question, I think this is the situation where we are at the moment. It's just like we do need a framework, we need an ecosystem, we need like meterware of like wearable LEDs with the proper battery system, right? Let's talk about the entire concept. Do we actually need batteries? The advantage of fashion technology is that we are wearing an active body. So like the electricity, the energy you can generate with like sitting down, movement, sweating, talking, right? So probably with all of us, for the last half an hour or something like that, we could have generated some electricity together, right? But this is the thing. It's like, so technological wise, this is absolutely possible, right? It just like happens in like those big other industries. So, and I think that's the point where we have to talk about it, and at the same time making it accessible to designers. My problem with the fashion industry is like those people don't share. I grew up in technology. We have co-working spaces. We have open source technology. You know, we have GitHub and all that stuff. With fashion, what is completely astonishing is like people are so scared to share their ideas, and especially in a creative industry. Come on, how can you be competitive, not be scared that somebody is copying you? Somebody that you have to come up with constantly new ideas. How do you do that? Talk with bloody people. Jesus Christ.
This is here again where the collaboration is going to occur.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the fashion designers who covet their secrecy are going to have to be a little more open in order to get the technology into the clothing, and they're going to have to share a little bit, as well as the technologists are going to have to, say, hey, this is important. You know, we have ignored this area for so long. We've become, a fashion vacuum. And now it's time, finally these things can converge. We have enough technology to make fashion exciting again, where you do walk into a room and go, hey, something's happening here because everyone looks incredible.
And the fashion industry is worried about that because the fashion industry feels like fashion is collapsing. And it's very interesting because in Phoenix, we are building a fashion industry incubator for exactly what you are talking about, collaboration. And we may not have the best fashion industry on the planet in Phoenix, but if we start to collaborate, maybe we will. And before I stop talking, there is
she knows I'm going to cut her off.
No, there's a person in the chat room asking about whether we've talked about how few people are wearing Apple Watches. And it's very germane because what woman in her right mind, besides me and Rebecca, are going to wear an Apple Watch?
You're ugly. I have a quick question.
I've been saying that for such a long time, like how ridiculous is that, right? And it of course, it's nothing new. It looks stupid. It doesn't have a function. Doesn't look pretty, and it doesn't make it easier that like Hermes is now doing like the leather armband, and a winter tour is meeting the Apple guys for coffee, right? That is not gonna bloody work that way. You have to get those people together in a room and like develop a product together, not like here's technology, make it pretty, girlfriend, right? This is not how it works. You have to work from day one together. As an example, my head of textiles, she studied textile design. The first thing what she had to learn when she came to me is like, I taught her how to solder. My CTO has a PhD in microbattery systems, and the first thing he had to learn was like to use a sewing machine, right? This is totally normal because those two guys, with also the other designers we pull in for collaborations, they have to work together and they have to understand each other. This is like, you can't throw technology and money in it if you don't get the people together, right? It's driving me crazy. So, and I think, but with like Apple Watch and Google Glass and stuff like that, it's good because, they have, people have to fail in order to be open to something new.
Yep.
So, let them do it their way because like they only can finance like so many disasters so many times, right? Because the competition doesn't sleep. And at the same time, fashion really has to move. Like if you talk with like fashion journalists, they are bloody bored out of their mind. In the last 15 years, nothing really happened. This is why we go into retro phases all the time. I don't know where we are at the moment, in the 70s or something. It's boring, right? And when you look from history why things changed and how fashion went crazy, it's because like there was a new technology coming in, like, remember the zipper, remember like stretching material, remember like the sewing machine, right?
Right.
this technology. Now it's like 3D printing and laser cutting and stuff like that. But it has to be it has to be a part of the normal ecosystem. So it's not only that like, oh, poor fashion designers, they don't know what to do. They bloody know exactly what to do. They're experts in their fields. They just have to start to talk with each other with technology, right? I think like, a sewing machine is a standard part of your design workshop as well as a laser cutter and a 3D printer, for God's sake.
Yep.
Right? And
I have a
the thing
3D
is,
printer and a sewing machine. I don't have a laser cutter. I just bought a sewing machine. And this is interesting, Lisa. I had a sewing machine when I was, 21,
Yeah,
and I was making my own clothes out of graduate school. And then I didn't sew for like the next number of years. And then I bought a sewing machine last year because I got tired of paying $20 to have a pair of jeans hemmed. Speaking of wearing jeans and t-shirts. So I bought a sewing machine specifically for the purpose of hemming my jeans. And what I found out when I turned it on is sewing machine technology, outside of the fact that there's maybe it's plastic instead of metal, and there's maybe a few more bells and whistles. The basic technology of the sewing machine has not changed. And I was so disappointed.
But also the other thing is like at the moment where you get the machine, the world around changes because all of a sudden you can do things, you can change things, right? This is the beauty when you work with technology and with machines. You don't have to take your surroundings as a given. You can, everybody knows like, oh, this is a really nice dress, but I would like to have in a different color, bigger, smaller, longer, shorter, whatsoever, right?
Exactly.
And we were forced to take whatever is there, this is the thing, is like with fashion, you look at something at the new collections and like, oh my God, this is damn ugly. And then you see it all the time and then you kind of get used to it because everybody is wearing it, like, with those Ugg boots or something like that. I mean, at least that's
Listen, I had a quick thought. I wanted to bring up a problem we talk about here a lot, which is young women, ages, say, 13, 14, 15, up to 19, whatever. They look at men, they just did a study that young women who want to join tech think that techie guys are so unpleasant to look at. They're so unfashionable and ugly. These girls are thinking it's one more reason they don't want to join tech, right? If tech is fashion, and at that age, teenage girls are very creative with fashion, this is an opening to bring more and more teenage women in, and that's a place where a lot of women just stop doing, technology right there. So do you think, Lisa, that will help? Will that help us bring in more women?
I think it will be an amazing opportunity for women to get them into their, I'm a huge fan what Google is doing with this project, like Made with Code. One of the women there, she was a part of the project with Zac Posen, that LED dress who got released on the New York Fashion Week recently. They actually have a generator online where you can say, I want to have this effect on the dress. You download the code for it, right? So like stuff like that is really interesting. From my own experience, because we do teach, so I teach creative soldering and creative laser cutting at the Fab Lab, and this is an amazing opportunity to get like women in, because the thing is not about that you have to dumb it down. You just have to teach it differently, right?
Make it interesting.
Make it interesting. And if you look at like all of the projects out there in fashion technology, and also the pretty wearable tech like the Element bracelets and stuff like that, there are a lot of women there, and they are tough and they know what they want, and they're also deeply frustrated and said like, this can't be it, we have to do something about it. So I think this is a huge chance for finally get women in. And, and this is not about, okay, the message is like, okay, here's a uniform, jeans and t-shirts if you want to belong to us. It's like, no, actually, these are my high heels, boyfriend, right? And they can talk with each other, and they're probably smarter than your little silly watch you're just wearing, right?
But I love the idea, Lisa, your idea of making the sewing machine a maker device. Like the 3D printer, and putting it in a makerspace or a development lab, because
we do have.
That would be fantastic.
sewing machines, we have knitting machines. One of the first projects we did is like we hacked old industrial knitting machines. So any kind of designs we create on the computer, we can get the knitting machine to knit it for us, right? So you can you can make a photo and
Love
you can
that.
turn it into a sweater. It's fantastic. But the thing is, there's like no magic to it. From a point, it's like, you know, the great thing with machines is they always can do more than for the purpose we programmed them for. And that is for the knitting machine as well for the 3D printer. So at FabLab, we have an electronic and textile lab. And we have several kind of sewing machines in that lab. And so we actually started to hack the sewing machine, so it's easier for us to sew in cables into fabrics, right? So I think in the end of the day, is it from an engineering perspective, the definition of hacking is you have to understand the ecosystem and then use the tools that ecosystem gives you and then disrupt it from within. And I think this is a very empathetic, emotional thing to do, and and that industry finally can do it. And we've been doing this for like from day one, and said like, this is, don't take it as a given. What is stopping you from making it to wear? This is why we are focusing on day-to-day mainstream ready-to-wear fashion. And because there's so much constructive art out there, and it's amazing, it's beautiful. You see it at Burning Man, right? But when you want to wear it every day, then you have to really get serious. And it includes, for instance, that we have to reprogram our washing machines, right? So I've talked with the guys from Bosch the other day, and I said, like, do you actually realize that the washing machine itself can do it? It can have like a softer spin cycle and less water and stuff like that. You just haven't put a button on it and you haven't programmed it. Like,
or maybe we find a different way to clean things altogether.
Yeah,
yes,
that's better.
Absolutely. Yeah, or we just like don't have cables and we don't have batteries. They're like energy harvesting systems out there in different industries.
I like the idea of these garments perhaps working off of our body heat or movement or something like that, and storing that energy. It seems like, if it's going to be on us, we should harvest the one thing that's there, which is either, I don't know, the heartbeat, the pulse, the movement, the heat, whatever it is.
Well, movement in particular, yeah.
That means we have to move around, and usually during our show, Francine will stand up at least one time because her Apple Watch tells her to.
I didn't get that message. And I looked at my watch during the show. You may have seen that. And it not only didn't tell me to stand, but it's not telling me that I'm burning any calories here being on the show.
Oh, but you are.
Well,
No,
it's a well-known fact that being on the show burns calories. I don't know what's going on with me.
It's like
it
5
just makes
calories.
me gain weight, but
I'm going to throw one thing out.
We're almost at our hour, or probably at our hour mark, so we're going to wrap up. But Hallie, please continue.
Quick. My husband lived in Berlin for 10 years, and we've been to Berlin many times. And there's an amazing amount of creativity in Berlin. And what I love is it makes all the sense in the world. It's such, it's a point. If you had a camel or a car or anything, so many people cross through there, right? You would think of cities that could lead in fashion. Paris is obvious. But Paris was like, it died in 1890. I mean, and Berlin is so alive with changes. So I think there's going to be a lot coming out of there. And it's fashion and tech come together is going to make amazing innovation. So it's like obvious to me.
And Hallie, can we see your fashionable fingernails just once?
I'll hold up my favorite place that I've been in Berlin with my fingernails. Have you been there?
The fall colors.
Yeah, that's it.
So, nice.
Have you been there? You must know it's Market Hall 9.
Market Hall
we call
9.
it.
Yeah. I used to live very close by there.
Yeah, that's the place where
it's very nice.
So many cool people.
Yeah.
In great fashion, lots of fashion.
Okay, ladies, once again, let's
Berlin can be very fashionable if they want to.
Let's also once again talk about the show on Tuesday, November 3rd, starting at, I believe, 6 o'clock?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. in the evening. It will be a lovely event. It's hosted by, is it co-hosted or hosted by IBM?
So it's IBM and 360 Fashion, Anina
Okay.
Nett's company.
And
Right.
and the hashtag is
and so let me say this. Yeah, so I
And
put
what
the
that
hashtag
mean,
in the
and
chat.
as far as this, what we're going to see, we're going to be not just seeing, we're going to be seeing fashion, tech fashion from around the world.
Yes. In fact, the other day, Anina was in a total panic because she needed to get clothes from Lebanon, from a designer there. And it was like, how do I get clothes from Lebanon? And I've done some importing and exporting of stuff, but that you do it a certain way so it gets through customs quickly, so it arrives by Tuesday or Monday for the fittings and the rehearsal. I mean,
You
it's
know how
like,
you do it?
so I
You
suggested
get
that
someone on a
that they post
plane
it as
with a
prototype.
bag and you send them over. That's the best way.
Well, yes, but anyway.
Hashtag here we go, Hallie. Thank you. In with lipstick, nonetheless.
Yes.
Hashtag IBM 360F for
Hallie, you are
fashion.
so clever. You are so clever.
Check it out. Check it
Good
out.
Let me
girl.
say this too. If you're coming, so it's drinks and hors d'oeuvres 6 to 7, but the show starts promptly at 7. So be there on time because we really want to see you. And if you're interested in coming, email me hodder HODDER @gmail.com, and I'll get you hooked up. There's an application process because hey, it's fashion, and of course they have a rope line, but I'll get you in. So just send me a note.
Is it 360F for fashion?
F for fashion.
360
Okay.
fashion.
Good.
Somebody
Excellent.
tweet it with pictures for me. I
Aw,
want to follow
yeah.
the hashtag and see it.
Francine's got
video.
FOMO already.
I
There will
do.
be videographers that will show it after. There will be photos. There's 3 or 4 photographers. There's going to be tons of media. I'm sure that you'll be able to see lots. And Lisa is speaking. She's speaking about one of the scenes. And so it's going to be a great show. I'm speaking, Howard Rheingold's speaking. There's a number of folks in the wearables industry speaking. Anina's obviously going to be hosting the whole thing as the executive producer. And there we are. I mean, it's a
Damn,
lot of.
I wish I had known. I would have, done a
Oh,
different
just
trip.
stay here for God's sake.
I know,
I don't
that's-
want
we
to
all
hear
feel
this
like
anymore.
that.
Don't leave. Just come.
I think
Don't
hopefully
leave.
this will become an annual event. Maybe next
Yes.
year G3 will be presenting some opinion. Who knows?
Modeling.
You know?
What?
You're just gonna you just join us in January on January 20th at Berlin Fashion Week. Because that's where on the 20th is like a whole day special of, around fashion technology.
Where?
So there is a trade show, premium exhibition, and the founder Anita, she's a huge fan of fashion technology, so she's giving us a platform to talk and show about fashion technology. And I'm going to invite like all of my friends across the world. So as
Berlin
I
in
said, actually,
January?
we're going to announce a collaboration with a New York jewelry designer on Tuesday. So we're going to make the first announcement and show the first details and the prototypes. They look pretty.
Awesome.
And we're actually going to launch the project officially in Berlin on the 20th during that event. So if you do need a excuse to come to Berlin, then do it in January 20th.
If you need an excuse to come to
January,
Berlin, you
Berlin.
now have it. I think we all need to get to Berlin.
Hey, Berlin is very cheap in winter, so it's cheap
Yes.
to fly
And it's
there.
cold.
Everything.
I was planning on going to Berlin
there is
next
a
summer.
saying in German. The weather is not bad, only your equipment, and
Yes.
it gives you an opportunity to shop. See it like that. Always positive.
Berlin is great in the
Uh-oh.
winter. It's not that freezing.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that
Not
bad.
nearly as bad. Mary's
Yeah.
getting up. Where is she going?
And Mary, you've muted
There's
yourself
someone at
again.
the front door, and it's probably another delivery, possibly the clothes from Lebanon.
The
Oh,
clothes
no.
from Lebanon.
It is. It's the clothes from Lebanon.
Look,
from
everybody.
DHL. Oh my gosh! And it is. It's from. Wow.
Beirut.
Cool. It's going to be fun. So anyway, Anina just left, and she was rolling out the door, and we've got people
You
coming
are
in
so
and all sorts of
lucky, Mary.
craziness and.
How
Yeah,
exciting.
here we are.
So everything is happening. It's coming together on Tuesday. Of course, like any live event, it will be crazy up to the last second with people, barely able
To the
to
train?
breathe with
Lord.
excitement and with nerves. But hopefully this will be the first in many. Clothes being, shipped in from everywhere. And very exciting times. If you can get there and you want to be there, please contact Mary. She might be able to hook you up. I think there's a few tickets left, probably not many at this point, but a few.
But I apologize. I actually have to get Anina to the train so she can get to San Francisco. I'm so sorry.
But you can go. We're saying goodbye anyway.
I'll be back
bye-bye.
in 5
Bye-bye.
minutes. Bye. Thank you all so much, and see you at the show on Tuesday.
Okay, so we will wrap up now, ladies. And I'd like to thank Mary as she's leaving. She won't hear us, but thank you, Mary Hodder. We see her reflection there in the mirror as she goes by. Thank you so much, Francine Hardaway, Hallie Suit Tucker, and our new guest and new friend, Lisa Lang.
I love
it's
you,
been
Lisa.
a pleasure, ladies.
Thank
It's
you so
always a
much.
pleasure. We always have so much fun. You see the bodice back there is waiting for some light up
some fiber optic
excitement,
thing,
something. And next, I'm gonna get my hands on. Lisa's gonna help me get my hands on something fabulous, and we're gonna light that thing up frequently. So I also would like to thank Ustream. We use Ustream to stream live the G3 show and the Gilmore Gang every week, or usually every week. Thank you to Ustream and their services, and to New Tech and their TriCaster. We use their TriCaster. Here it is. It's very special. This interface gives me all the buttons I need to push while I'm doing the show, which is often tricky. Yes, I'd like to point out that when my mouth isn't moving and my brain is not working, it's because I am pushing buttons. Okay.
I think you rock that you're able to.
I
do
rock
all this
it.
at once.
I thank you. I love you for that. You know that. Thank you again, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday. Come to the show on Tuesday, and we'll see you again next week. I'll get our logo ready, and
ladies. Bye.
I'll get our logo ready, and we'll say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, that was fascinating.